everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jillian Liota. I'm a contemporary romance author, and it has been quite a while since my last video. You know, 2020, part of me wants to explain why I didn't make another YouTube video, and at the same time I just want to say it was 2020/2021. I feel like that's excuse enough. This is going to be my recap of 2021. I'm going to post it a little bit late. I had hoped to create this video and put it up before the end of the year, but I just didn't. I got wrapped up in family that was visiting for the holidays and sorting out a few things for the new year, and it just kind of slipped through the radar. So today I'm going to go through the things that I had hoped would happen in 2021 that didn't happen, the things that I am proud of that I accomplished over the course of the year, and do a little reflecting about what 2021 has kind of meant for me in my career. Now, I think the simplest thing to acknowledge is that 2021 did not go as planned, and I think that the reason for that is because of 2020, and now I realize it seems a little unfair to blame everything on the horror of what was 2020, but at the same time, it kind of had a ripple effect in how things ended up turning out. At the end of 2020, I want to say end, it was actually more like, I'm going to say August. In August of 2020, I was 7 months ahead. And that had been a long-term goal of mine. My hope had been to get myself to a point where I was a year ahead so that the things I was working on would be publishing a year out. And I was working really hard towards that goal. In August, I had a book publishing in October, an audiobook coming up. I was a part of a book box. I had a special novella. I had another audiobook. I was a part of an anthology, and there was another book that I was about to start working on. And then I had an absolutely bonkers massive anxiety attack that just took me completely out of commission. And I mean for months. I struggled with getting out of bed. I was really stuck on the couch, and just it felt like my creative well had just completely depleted itself. There was nothing there. Now, it worked to my advantage that I had planned things 7 months out at that point, because I was able to continue with my career without actually producing anything new for several months. So in September and October, when I could barely get off the couch, I was able to promote and put out a book. There were other things going on at the end of 2020. The Like You Mean It audiobook came out. I wrote a short story or a novella for the Cedar Point series that was a part of the Waterhouse Press Love Books box. And that launched at the end of 2020 as well. But I was totally spent. So when 2021 began, I was feeling very disheartened, very crushed I was fearful about moving forward. And I was worried that I had basically just sabotaged myself because I couldn't get over my anxiety. And if you're someone who faces anxiety, you know that that's not a thing. You can't just get over it. There are steps you have to take. There's skills that you have to learn. There's a lot of coping you have to do and mental games that you play with yourself. And I didn't have a lot of that at the beginning of 2021. So I just kind of had to lean heavily on the stuff I already had in place. So I was able to kind of move forward through, the year, but it definitely did not go as planned. The good thing is that at the start of 2021, I realized how much my anxiety has an impact on my creativity. And I decided that my word for the year was going to be grace. And the reason I picked that word is because I felt like acknowledging the importance of compassion and acknowledging how much I needed to care about myself and my mental state was going to impact my ability to move forward. I don't know who said it, but there's some sort of quote. It's either a quote or just a generally acknowledged thing about how you can be so focused on what you're not doing that it makes you unable to actually accomplish anything. It's like there's so much fear about all that needs to be done that you can't do anything. It's like you're frozen. And that's something that happens to me sometimes. And so I promised myself that 2021 would be a year where I planned forward, yes, where I tried to keep myself organized and tried to push myself, but I would not allow myself to become frozen by this fear that I wasn't accomplishing enough. And I can say without a doubt that I gave myself grace and compassion while still trying to encourage myself to move forward. And in the end, when I did a reflection on this year and everything I accomplished, I was actually really surprised and really proud of how much I actually created. And so I'm going to go through that to kind of put it into perspective. At the end of 2020, I wrote a novella for Waterhouse Press for the Love Books box, and it was published with an exclusive cover. And so the very first thing that happened in 2021 is that novella, which is a part of my Cedar Point series, went live to the public. And I had my own cover for it, and it's called The Start of Someday. So this book, this novella of about, I'm going to say 120 pages, it's 24,000 words-ish. This was the first thing that launched in 2021. It launched January 1st, so exactly a year ago today. Maybe I should go on and like do a giveaway for one of these. And this sweet little novella, I mean, I say sweet, but actually it's really steamy, was a nice little launching point. It gave me a little bit of flexibility at the beginning of the year to say, I have something that I'm putting out there. It didn't require me to create anything new because it was already something that had existed before. It introduced me to over 1,000 new readers, which was a really cool experience. The second thing that happened in 2021 on January 12th, which I don't actually have a physical copy, Like You Want It, went live as an audiobook. And that was another exciting thing because it was something that had been established the year before, had all been completed, and I just needed to like share the fact that it existed. It turned out really wonderful. Out of all of my books, Like You Mean It and Like You Want It are the top two by far. And to have both of those in audiobooks and available for people who prefer to read in audio is a really unique experience to have. And it was even more amazing because I didn't have to do any of the work. The next thing that happened in 2021 in March was this Young Crush anthology went live. It has a short story from me called Who You Used to Be, which is loosely connected to the Keeper world, which was the very first novel that I wrote. Sorry, my cat is like moving around. Excuse me. It's a really, really short story. It's 7,000 words, I think. But it actually turned out really nice, and there's a part of me that wants to take this story and grow it into something else, but there's just so much on my plate, who knows if that's ever gonna happen. The thing I'm the most proud of in 2021 was this. This is This Vulnerable Heart. It's a book of poetry, and I started writing it at the beginning of 2021, and it's a gift to my husband because we celebrated 10 years of marriage. And I'm gonna say that for any of you who are out there struggling with anxiety or writer's block, take yourself out of the story that you're trying to write and give yourself a break and work on something else, just to see if that might make a difference. And the reason I say that is because I felt creatively shot at the beginning of 2021, and yet I was still able to write poetry. And it was almost like I focused on these tiny little blurbs of of wonderful, of reflection, and it was a way for me to stay creative without pushing me too hard. I am incredibly proud of this book. I watched my husband read it cover to cover once I gave it to him for our anniversary, and he loves it so much. It's probably one of the coolest things I've ever made in my entire life. I'm hoping to write more poetry this year. It is precious to me. So this is the most, this is the thing I'm the most proud of for 2021, because even though I was only creating in little chunks, it felt like I was carving out little parts of myself to put it on the page as I was writing it. So yeah, definitely this guy. Proud, 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 proud. I also did 2 more short stories for Love Books and Waterhouse Press. The first was in this Bad Boys of Summer anthology. This thing is a brick. It's a short story called Distraction. It's about 13,000 words. It's unrelated to anything else I've ever written, and it is just a steamy romance. And it was just a fun little break. I wrote it in, I think I wrote it in March or April, and then it published in June. And it was, again, another way for me to kind of creep back into writing when I had been struggling so much with it. Because keep in mind, again, the start of 2021, I have all these things that have happened, but really the only thing I created was the 6,000 word short story and the book of poetry. So this was another step towards getting back to things, which brings me to the only full-length novel that I wrote in 2021, We Were Something. If you are a fan of mine, you know that it is the one series that I have been working really hard on trying to complete. It's the Hermosa Beach series. It is a 4-book series, and I wrote all 3 of the first books in 2020 and had originally planned for this book to launch in February of 2021. And I had the anxiety attack right before I started writing it. So it definitely got put off, but it did release this year in July. And to say that I have a complete series is a really wonderful thing. It was very exciting for me to now be able to have like this 4-book stack of, this is a complete story from beginning to end, 4 couples in this group of friends. Now, it was a lot of work mentally to overcome the hump of having not written a full-length book in, by that point, over a year. But I got it sorted, I did it, I pushed really hard, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. Then in November, I celebrated my 5-year publishing anniversary, and at that anniversary, I decided to, I planned it a lot earlier, but around that time, I launched my limited edition Keeper Duet hardcover book and box. And so this is that hardcover. It is the coolest thing. I mean, it's got like the dust jacket and everything, and I'm calling it the Keeper Duet. And what I really liked about this cover is in the original cover, which is just right here, so let me just grab it. In the original cover, it's got a guy holding the girl like this, lifting her off of her feet. And to have this kind of homage to that in a very different kind of playful way it felt like I had made like a very smart, clever decision. So this is the hardcover for the Keeper Duet. And when I made it like this, it made me want to revisit the Keeper world. This is The Keeper and Keep Away, which is a full-length new adult novel, and then a follow-up novella about another couple. And I'm thinking about merging those into one, like pulling Keep Away and merging it into The Keeper as like a single book, and then maybe adding another book or 2 and renaming it as the Glendale College series, because that's the name of the college. I haven't fully thought that through yet, so don't tell anybody. Secrets. Anyway, so that was a really cool thing that I got to play around with, making a hardcover for the first time, and I was really proud of how it turned out. And then last but not least, the final Love Books anthology that I was a part of, Fire and Ice. In here is a short story called A Gift Like You, and it is connected to Like You Mean It and Like You Want It. And it's just a real short story about Lindsay and Cooper. And Lindsay is a character that you meet in Like You Mean It, and it's her and an elderly neighbor that she, you know, and the elderly neighbor's grandson. So it's just a sweet little holiday story, and was a really fun way to wrap up the year. Outside of just the writing that I did, I also worked on my marketing. I got back into my Kanban board. I talk about that a lot, and Sarah Cannon and Heart Breathings has been instrumental in me learning how to organize myself since I started following her back in 2018. I really fell off utilizing a Kanban board in 2020. I'd say mid 2020 I kind of just stopped, and that was even before my anxiety attack. Now I've finally gotten back into it. I think I've accomplished about 50% of the things that I wanted to in the fall quarter, but it was the first time I was really keeping track of the things that I wanted to get done, and I might have probably definitely put way too many things on the list, and we'll need to think about that a little bit. I should have started this video with the fact that it has been absolutely pouring rain here in Hawaii for the past couple of days. So if you hear thunder or lightning or rain outside, just consider it part of the ambiance. Two of the other things that I was really proud of for this year, at the end of 2020, I told myself that 2021 was going to be a year when I didn't wait for other people to invite me to participate in things like giveaways and book clubs. I was just going to create them myself. So I did, I think out of the course of 2021, out of 12 months, I believe I did 8 group giveaways where I connected with other authors, trying to expand my network a little bit, and doing group giveaways of paperbacks and Kindles and Amazon gift cards and fun bookish swag. I also created the Heat and Heart book club, which literally just launched today. And it's me and Brooke O'Brien, Jiffy Kate, Jasmine Miller, Rebecca Genshak, Taylor Danae Colbert, S.J. Silvis, Laura Pavlov, Samantha Lind, Molly O'Keefe, Julie Olivia, and L.K. Farlow, and myself. And the 12 of us are a part of the Heat and Heart book club, which if you subscribe to it will give readers a free book every month. And because I'm just learning how to do it and messing around with a lot of things just all by myself without any real experience, I put my book first, just so that I could test things out, and it just launched today. So if you are someone who really likes steamy romance and you would like a free book every month, make sure you go to www.heatandheartbookclub.com and sign up for our monthly newsletter, because we will be sending out a free book every month. Shameless promo. And then of course I have to think about on the personal end of things. I celebrated 10 years of marriage with my husband. We did our first trip off the island since COVID hit last March. I mean, we love it here, but we've been basically sequestered here, just like most people have in a lot of ways because of COVID. So it was really nice to get a chance to escape for a little for a little while. We also bought a house. We've known for a while that we're probably going to be leaving soon. My husband just graduated from college, which was the major thing keeping us here, and we are probably, well, not probably, now I definitely know because we bought a house, but we had been speaking about moving to Georgia to be close to my sister and her husband. And at the end of September in 2021, we closed on a house in an adorable little town in Georgia. We can't wait. I mean, it's very bittersweet because we're so happy here in Hawaii, but at the same time, we're ready for the next step and whatever is to come in the future. We're gonna keep our house here in Hawaii, so there is a possibility we'll come back in the future, but for now we're just trying to keep our options open. You know, we're hopeful to dive in Georgia and get to know the place and spend time with our family. It'll be great to just be a day's drive away from my parents and from my husband's brother, my brother-in-law and his girlfriend. So it'll be a really wonderful opportunity for us to explore life in a different way, because it's been just the two of us for the entire 10 years we've been married. We left California in 2011 and we've moved to Indiana, Chicago, New Zealand, and Hawaii, and now we're kind of ready to be closer to family and have a little bit more togetherness. So all in all, not an absolutely horrible year. There's a part of me that wants to do the negative thing and focus on everything I didn't accomplish, you know? Yes, I would have loved to have been a year ahead, and yes, I would have loved to have been way more on top of my Kanban board and much more focused on some of the bigger goals I had, the things I didn't achieve. Those are things like I've been waffling with the idea of getting an agent, and I had hoped to complete a second series this year. I was hoping to complete the Cedar Point series by the end of the year, by the end of 2021. And realistically, those things just didn't end up happening. I'm trying still to give myself grace about those things and not harp on myself too hard. But I also feel like I'm still learning how to set reasonable and realistic goals for myself, because I could take all the things that I didn't accomplish in 2021 and try and accomplish them in 2022, plus all the other stuff that I've decided that I want to do on top of that. But I know I'm going to need to really kind of pare it down, especially with the fact that we have a ton of people visiting us in the first half of this year while we're in Hawaii. We've got the looming fact that we're going to be moving and a lot of other things coming our way that are just going to take up a lot of time. And so I'm going to have to make sure I really narrow down the things that are priorities and make everything else optional. I think it was Nora Roberts, actually, who was asked once, how do you balance everything? And if you know anything about me, you know I hate how reporters always ask women, how do you balance being so successful with being a parent? I hate those questions because men never get asked those questions. But I still really love her answer. She was asked that question, how do you balance being a parent, you know, with your career? I'm totally paraphrasing this, but it's that everything in life is a juggling act, and you just have to know what balls you're holding are glass and what are plastic, so that you know which ones can be dropped if you have to drop them. And I just really, really appreciated that mentality, because it acknowledges the fact that there are certain things that can't be dropped, that you have to give your focus and priority to over other things. But it also acknowledges the fact that you can be imperfect and let go of some of the things that you had hoped to accomplish that you don't end up accomplishing. So all in all, 2021, not so horrible. Check back with me in a little bit. My hope is to post this video and then really quickly create my what I hope to accomplish in 2022 video, which will include the things I hope to write, the milestones I hope to achieve, as well as my word of the year, which if you've known me for any amount of time, you know I pick a word every year that I try and use to guide myself. And so I'm hopeful to share that with you soon. All right, everyone, thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can be notified the next time that I have a video go live, and I will be back with a new video soon. All right, bye everyone.